What's up, guys? Welcome back to our channel. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Holly.
And we're Holly and Andrew. We do a lot of travel videos if you haven't been here before, and we share all of those with you. And today we'll be doing something a little special. We'll be addressing your questions about how the coronavirus has affected the travel industry and what it means for future traveling.
Yeah, but we're not doing it alone. We're gonna be joined by 7 other travel community members to help us answer your questions.
All right, so with that, let's go.
All right, let's meet the crew.
Hi, Holly. Hi, Andrew. Thank you for having Cruise Radio take part in this collaboration.
I'm Richard Sims. I'm a staff writer at cruiseradio.net.
My name is Joe Tolley, and I do cruise vlogs and other travel vlogs. And I'm in the extremely slow process of trying to create a cruise gear brand called SHIPHEAD.
Hi there, my name's Ilana from the website and blog lifewellcruised.com, as well as the YouTube channel LifeWellCruised, and I create cruise content, so cruise news, cruise tips, cruise reviews, as well as port information and guides.
Hello everyone, I'm Steph from Cruise with Amber, and what I aim to create is useful and informative cruise related content over on my YouTube and my blog.
Hi guys, this is Anita and I represent The Digital Travelers, which is India's first B2B social travel channel. We are more into the video travel content for the B2B travel market.
Hi everybody, I'm Bob from Innocents Abroad. The content we make is 95% cruise related, probably more. We've been cruising together for 25 years.
First of all, I would just like to say thank you to Holly and Andrew for putting me in their project. My name is Kunal. I am the founder of the small community of travelers and nomads. It's called Hopeless Nomad.
First of all, thank you guys so much for being here with us today. We're really excited to talk about all of your different travels, what you've done in the past, and what we're all hoping to do in the future. Obviously, COVID-19 has really had an impact on our travel lifestyle, and so we're just really excited to be able to connect with other travelers and talk about what the future of travel might look like.
So let's jump right in and address the elephant in the room, coronavirus.
As a group of travelers, we're all really feeling the effects in multiple different ways. We were actually lucky enough to be on one of the last cruises out of the US. We returned home on March 13th, Friday the 13th, and went straight into quarantine. Not only had we been on a cruise, and so we were planning to be at home for 14 days anyways, but both of our jobs transitioned to work from home immediately that Friday. We've been working from home ever since. We order our groceries in, we stay at home as much as possible for literally the last 6 months.
And as a lot of you guys know, we're based in Florida, and it hasn't been the prettiest state in terms of the coronavirus spread. So we've definitely taken a lot more precautions to try to be safe.
So let's hear what some of you guys have been up to during this time.
So since about March 13th, we have lived what everybody has lived, and it's obviously been somewhat difficult. Thank goodness, we have been very fortunate. My husband has continued to have his job, so financially at least we have been okay. And outside of that, what we are doing is we were supposed to go on a cruise this summer, and we've taken our cruise money, and as you can see behind me, there is a lot of dirt because we're doing an entire landscaping project of our yard, and we're basically just making our home the vacation spot that we could have for years to come in the summertime.
I've been doing quite fine because the 3-4 months of confinement gave me a chance to just explore myself. This hopeless nomad community is the byproduct of this particular time, the confinement.
Somehow I'm really enjoying this lockdown because it's helping me do things which I always wanted to do and I was not able to do because of the busy travel schedule and busy work life.
We love that these past few months have given everybody a chance to work on their side businesses, really reflect on our goals, and everyone has been able to spend a ton of quality time together. Let's hear from the rest of the panel how 2020 has impacted your lives. Steph, how are you doing?
Well, it started off a pretty good year. We had a short cruise in February to Northern Europe, and a couple of weeks later, COVID hit. and we were in lockdown. So a lot of things changed overnight, really. For example, as a small business owner, my work completely dried up overnight, and the kids were at home and not going to school, so I had to learn homeschooling pretty quickly. And also my husband came to work at home, so I had to share the office, actually give the office over to my husband. So actually on the upside, work is pretty hectic usually, so it's been really lovely to spend an extended period of time at home with the family. So I'm trying to make the most out of it.
So far, 2020 has been a challenge, to say the least. I've lost my job, so I have plenty of time to travel, but unfortunately, we can't go anywhere. So it's not been my favorite year.
We've been working from home since mid-March, kind of got a little bit of an earlier start than a lot of people. It's actually been pretty cool, though. I've got about a 45-minute commute to work, so I've gotten to save about an hour and a half of time every single day, so that's pretty cool. Also, my oldest daughter is a college student, and she had to study from home starting in March. So she's been here at the house, which has also been pretty cool. Just don't tell her I said that.
Generally, how are we doing through what 2020 has thrown at us? Pretty good. If you know me, and those of you who don't, welcome. Hopefully you'll get to know me. You'll know that I'm all about the glass half full. It's not irrelevant what life throws at you, but I won't sit back and dwell on stuff I can't control.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Great attitude, Bob. Although we don't want to dwell too much on what we can't control, we do want to hear how it's impacted your travel lifestyle. We've been really fortunate. We've only had to cancel one trip so far. We're getting closer to our second, but again, we've been very fortunate.
Yeah, I'd say the hardest part has been not being able to plan future trips and not having something to look forward to. But let's hear from the rest of you. Joe, how has it impacted you?
This is a tough one. Last year, Celebrity Cruises gave my wife an invite to be aboard one of the preview sailings of the new Celebrity Apex when it came out this year, and to also fly to Southampton, England to do so. And I was allowed to go with her, so that would have been awesome. I've never been on Celebrity Apex, obviously, and I've also never been to England. So this was just a win-win for everybody, until it got canceled. Yeah.
Like so many of you, we have had travel plans affected, outright cancellations. Since late March 2020 through a projected early October 2020 schedule that we had, there were and will have been 7 canceled cruises. Some of them are rescheduled from April. We thought the autumn would clear up, but of course, again, like so many of you, future cruises didn't come to pass.
I had a cruise booked for June, and that one's been canceled. I now have one for November that, may or may not happen. And I was going to go to see Alaska for the first time, and that got canceled. So hopefully we still are on for Thanksgiving of this year, but if not, I'm aiming for Thanksgiving of next year.
If someone would have asked me in November 2019 that the whole world is going to stop in 2 months, I would not have believed them, and I would just have laughed on their face. But it actually happened, and it's some bizarre time that we are going through, and we are literally evolving ourselves right now. So I think the COVID-19, just like everyone, were not able to travel. We could not even stand close to each other. We had to stay 1.5 meters away from each other, wear the mask in the public transports. So yeah, it is quite bizarre times that we are going through, and I think we're gonna get out much better people.
Yeah, we can only hope we all come out better people from this experience. There's a ton of speculation about what the future of travel will actually look like. We have seen some industries starting to change their policies, airlines requiring masks, blocking the middle seats. We've seen hotels really transitioning to online check-in and deeper cleans, which is great. And cruise lines even creating like in-room muster drills. So those are all things that we've already seen.
Yeah, and so we're kind of fortunate that so many of you are from many different places in the world. So we're curious, what do you think travel will look like in your neck of the woods once we get back to it?
I think it might take a little while for things to open back up again. I think what we'll tend to see is people starting to travel locally and closer to home. I think the pace of travel will definitely be much slower. I think temperature checks will become part of the travel experience, like we're seeing security checks now at airports are commonplace. I think temperature checks will be built into that in some way. And yeah, I think people might decide to discover their own areas a little bit more, closer to home.
For this question, I actually have two opinions. The first one is, in my opinion, travel is going to get oversaturated again, because people are really excited to get out there right now. Even the people who were not as motivated as before, they are much more motivated to just get out there and explore more. And the second thing that I believe would happen would be a mind shift, particularly for the people who are deeply involved in the travel industry. So if you're a travel blogger, I think those people would get much more closer to traveling sustainably and thinking about the culture, thinking about the environment, that what is happening there and how are they responsible as a representative of the travel industry.
During the pandemic, I also did a lot of research to understand what the travel industry and the cruise industry is majorly doing during this time to get ready or stand back on its feet when things get back to normal. So yeah, I was keeping myself updated, not just about the Indian market or the Asian market, but the global market, because at the end we have to learn from each other what the other person, the other player is doing and how you can learn from them. Apart from that, collaborations are also important, and you can see that two major cruise liners are collaborating together and all. So I think that's the future. Now let's talk about the future of cruising. I think post-pandemic, the first thing will be in place for the cruise market will be liberal cancellation policies. That will not only help the cruise liner to provide something better for the customer, but it will also ensure that if a customer is sick, they can cancel the booking at the last minute and not feel uncomfortable or feel like they're losing money. The second thing will be, of course, the stringent temperature checks and procedures during embarkation and disembarkation. Again, the sanitization of the cabins, the public areas, the crew quarters on board the ship. Apart from that, again, the sanitization or the handling hygiene of the food and beverages will be much more improved. On-board doctors being available, medical services. I think these all will now play a very important role, in fact a very crucial role in ensuring the customer confident to come back on the ship.
I don't think everything's going to settle for a while. I think for the first few months when cruising comes back, we'll be seeing sort of tweaks to the various protocols that they're going to put in place. One thing that I do think is going to happen, and I know people don't want to hear it, that's been made very abundantly clear on every message board possible, is masks. I think for a while we'll have to wear masks, and people will have to wrap their head around that and decide, is that something they can live with in order to get on a ship again?
Cruising industry is going to look completely different. I've heard talks about whether or not there would be less capacity or not. If that's the case, prices are going to have to jump on cruises, I would think, because cruise lines a lot of times don't even break even until halfway through a cruise, and if you've got half the capacity on the ship, that's going to be tough. Meals, that's going to be probably the biggest issue. Talks about buffets and whether or not they would even have buffets. At the very least, they're not going to be self-serve. They're going to have servers at each of the stations, at least starting off. Main dining rooms, could they possibly rotate? Certain cabins go an even number of nights and the other cabins go an odd number of nights. Could they go to a third dinner time, instead of having 2 dinner times, have 3 dinner times throughout the evening? It's just going to be completely different. Other common areas, the pools. The pool's even going to be open for swimming. I mean, I don't know how you social distance in a pool. Would be kind of weird. I've heard, I think the EU or somebody adopted maybe 2 meters in a swimming pool. I just don't know how that works. Hot tubs, don't know how that works either. Spas, are they going to be able to have services in the spas? Just all this close contact. Everything's just going to be pretty risky. I just don't think that cruising is really going to get back to a sense of normalcy, quite honestly, until after we find a vaccine. It's just too risky for the crew, it's too risky for the passengers, and unfortunately it's too risky for the cruise line's bottom line.
I would say much like traveling in general, with the exception that people you see on cruises will probably be the like-minded sort of pure cruiser. And what I mean by that is when you are with someone as cruising resumes, these are the folks, you and I, who are going to be out there because we really enjoy cruising. Whether you're out there just to be on vacation, whether you're out there to work and create a vlog, or a combination thereof, these are people that enjoy cruising. I think people that will help us maintain what I expect to be a ship's 50 to 60% max capacity initially will be the naysayers and people who have sworn off cruising because of the virus. And they're welcome to their choices, but I think that attitude will actually enable the cruise lines to maintain their social distancing a lot easier.
Yeah, those are all really great points about the future of traveling. And obviously we'll all adapt over time, but it does seem like there's definitely been a shift in how people are traveling currently. I mean, I think this year is definitely the year of the road trip in the US. Everybody's getting camper vans and converting Sprinter vans into little mobile homes that they can travel, which is awesome. And also taking trips that are a lot closer to home or to places that they already know.
We would love to hear what you guys are doing to prepare for future travels and any suggestions you have for our viewers today.
For myself, what I'm doing to prepare for my future cruise travels is just keeping an eye on what is happening in different places in the world and how they're doing recovering from this virus and how they're doing with tourism, if people are coming back to their destinations. So whether that's a theme park or whether that's the Colosseum and the tours in Italy, and how that's going. And I'm really looking towards that to see, I hope, cross my fingers with hopefulness for what we can envision here in North America.
Quite honestly, and just trying to stay informed of what's going on around the world and all the different hotspots and different places, and seeing what other countries are doing and kind of being tested as guinea pigs. There's one cruise line in particular called Genting Cruise Line that's starting up in Asia, I believe either this week or next week or sometime later this month. We'll see how that goes. Some of the Asian markets, other Asian markets are opening up. Some of the European markets are opening up. We just have to see. We have a cruise on the books for November. I personally don't think it's going to happen. Another thing, we travel to Guatemala every single year. We didn't get to this year, and we're probably not going to be able to next year. They're taking a big hit. They're getting hit pretty hard right now. It's just a lot of guesswork and just trying to stay informed with what's going on and just kind of laying low and see what happens when it happens.
I'm trying to sort of read as much as I possibly can about what might be considered the worst case scenarios, like as far as what protocols will be put in place on ships. I'm also trying really hard, and I think we at Cruise Radio have been trying to drive this point home, to make sure everybody understands that it's important that the ships not come back too soon. We all want to cruise again, and we all want to do it as soon as possible, but the worst thing that can possibly happen is for the ships to come back too soon, there be more outbreaks, another whole Diamond Princess kind of situation arises, because that could actually, be the death of the industry.
I'm doing a lot of cruise blogging, and also I'm planning some destination guides of places I'd like to visit, or I have visited it, and putting those on my blog. Most importantly, I'm scheduling future cruises. So if one cruise is cancelled, then I've got the next cruise I can transfer my future cruise credit onto straight away. COVID won't stop me from cruising at all. And I think it's just planning things out a little bit more in advance. Maybe with work, I'm going to accept less work where I have to stay overnight. and away from home, and maybe traveling or working closer to home.
Steph, that's a really great point. I think the best feeling in the world is having something to look forward to. I mean, it's a motivation, right? Especially in these difficult times, it's important to think positive and have a backup plan.
What tips or advice do I have for people who are considering traveling either leisurely or full-time again one day? Go do it. Obviously, do so in a safe fashion, but continue to cruise. Continue to travel. Go out and meet other cultures. Go out and engage with people whose customs and food and traditions are quite possibly very different than your own. You'll certainly be a more well-rounded person for it. You'll be able to influence in a positive way others. And it's just a great feeling if you take that aspect, that goal towards travel is leaving the world a little bit better place than you found.
So when all is said and done and it is safe and people feel comfortable, I do hope that if you do want to travel, whether it's leisurely a couple times a year or you'd like to travel full time, that you do go ahead and do that and you feel comfortable, because those experiences, those travel experiences are so well worth it. Visiting different places, different destinations yourself, as well as the people that you meet along the way and the experiences you have are really well worth it. In terms of practical tips, something to always remember is to make sure that you do have travel insurance. It's so important wherever you go to make sure that you're covered, especially for medical expenses should they arise, and as well to be prepared for the unexpected, because things happen.
Be prepared for changes. Go into it with an attitude of, I'm happy to be traveling. There might be itinerary changes. There might be new rules that you have to follow. Everything is going to be different. So try and think of it as an adventure. I know that's a little bit difficult when you're talking about things like the possibility of having to wear a mask, the possibility of, everything that you know about cruising being a little bit or maybe a lot different. So think of it as an adventure and be prepared.
So I think for this question, I have just one tip or advice for actually the people who are looking for traveling full-time again. I believe that if you're going to travel full-time and travel is going to be your only source of income, you can get it in trouble, like a lot of people who did during these times. So I believe that maybe we could develop second source of income that would just keep us standing, that would help us not to panic in situations like this. For example, just hypothetically, if a situation like this comes up again, we would be, I would not say ready, but somewhat at a stable state than right now. It would not be responsible for developing a lot of anxiety and panic in us. So that's why my advice to maybe develop a second source of income that will just help you.
You all make really great points. Our advice would be just get out there and do it.
Yeah, once it's safe. Being prepared is really the best you can be. If there's a will, there's a way to make it happen.
Yeah, for example, we're going on a cruise in March, exactly 1 year after we got off our last cruise and stepped off into a global pandemic.
Where's everybody else off to next?
We are going to make our first trip to Antarctica for a landing, and also traveling with Seabourn Cruises. It's a 3.5-week trip that's scheduled to start mid-December 2020. And like many of you who are planning cruising in December and very near to it at the end of this calendar year, we hope you're able to go as well. But I can't think of anything that's higher on that list than doing that. We're pretty stoked about it, as you can probably tell. Just hanging out with 400,000 king penguins and landing in remote islands like South Georgia. I'm just surprised the smile's not any bigger than it is. But of course, traveling has to resume by the end of this year.
We do have a couple of trips coming up. We live just outside of Charlotte, so we're going to take a quick weekend trip to Winston-Salem here in a couple weekends. And then a couple weeks after that, we're going to head over to the coast to a little place called Beaufort, North Carolina. And maybe grab a ferry, go to the Outer Banks, and maybe pretend like we're on a cruise ship.
The next destination that I have planned to visit is actually Italy. I've been a fan of Italy for so long, and I didn't get a chance to visit it right now. So since being a fan of history, good food, good wine, I really want to visit Rome, Florence, the south of Italy, stay there for almost, I think so, 3 weeks, and explore Italy.
We'd love to close today's panel by hearing what everybody's favorite travel destination is. Spoiler alert, if you saw our 1000 giveaway on Instagram, you'll know ours already. So for me, last summer we went to Krka National Park in Croatia, and it was absolutely gorgeous. I don't know that it is my favorite travel destination, but it's a place that we've been and I like 100% have to go back to.
Yeah, you can check out the video for that.
What's your favorite travel destination?
So I think in our 1K giveaway, I said Hawaii, but truthfully, I waffle back and forth between Hawaii and my all-time favorite city in the world, Paris, which Holly hasn't been to yet. So
Nope.
I'm super excited to take her. We have tentative plans to go next summer, but we'll see how that works. Fingers crossed. Yes. I love Paris. I think it's just such a cool, unique city. The food is amazing. I love the French language. There's so much to do, so much culture, so much history. The weather's great most of the year. So yeah, I think that's mine.
If you're looking for a phenomenal cruise travel experience, I cannot recommend a Mediterranean cruise highly enough. There are places that you can go and see that are just places that we would only see really in history books, and towns and areas to visit that are just so picturesque, so beautiful. And then in combination, the amazing food, the wine, the experience just being really quite different and really a travel experience in addition to the cruise. So I highly recommend that as a cruise experience. As well, it is a way when you're on a cruise ship and you're cruising through the Mediterranean, it's a way to see several places all within the same trip, while not really having to pack and unpack and to take buses and to take trains and all of that stuff. It's just an ease of travel with a cruise. And I just think a Mediterranean cruise, if you love traveling and you think you'll enjoy cruising, I just think that is absolute perfection.
My favourite place I visited is Norway, and in particular the port of Flåm, which is 200 kilometres inland along the Sognefjord, and it's one of the most idyllic places I've ever visited, and that's saying a lot for anybody who's been to Norway, because all the ports in Norway are spectacular. I think the thing I love about it most is that there's something for everyone to do there, and also people are so welcoming and friendly. They really love their place and they want to show it off to the best to visitors. The scenery is just spectacular and breathtaking, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to get a lot of value out of a visit to Flåm. There are lots of hikes, there are lots of walks, so there's lots to discover there, and I really can't wait to visit again.
We actually have a special place that we love. We had the opportunity to go to Guatemala for the first time a few spring breaks ago, and it was such an unbelievable experience. We have gone back every year since, and I don't know how else to explain it. They are the most beautiful and most genuine people I have ever met in my life, and just absolutely love that culture.
Okay, originally I was going to say that my favorite place that I've ever visited was St. Lucia because of this amazing tour that I did there that, we explored the whole island. But my best friend called me a liar for saying that. So I'm going to be honest and say my favorite place I've ever visited was the Never Say Never bar in Nassau. It has a new name now, but it's still the same basic place. Gorgeous little place, juts out into the water, cool view of the ships. I could spend a lot more time there.
Guys, this has been awesome. We've had so much fun today hanging out with all of you, getting to know a little bit about your stories and how this world has really unfolded. For all of you watching, please make sure to check out these awesome people's channels and social media. We'll have links to all of that below. They really put a lot of effort into this, and coordinating people from around the world is no easy task, so very big thank you to all of them.
This is Anita and I represent the Digital Travelers, which is India's first B2B social travel channel. We are more into the video travel content for the B2B travel market.
I'm sure the world is not coming to an end and we all should be positive. We'll be on board a cruise ship soon. So let's be positive.
What you'll find on our channel is fairly unpolished, immersive about a culture. And that's one of the things that's really important to me. Am I telling the story correctly? And that's what I hope you get out of our channel. Right now, the social media that we maintain is coming up on your screen. With regard to YouTube specifically, I'd ask you to, of course, subscribe. But also, if you take the time to make comments, you'll get a reply. Thanks very much for watching. Take care.
You can find my cruise articles and cruise information over at lifewellcruised.com, and you can find my cruise videos, cruise vlogs, and cruise tips and cruise news over at LifeWellCruised on YouTube. As well, I'd love to connect with you on social media at Facebook and on Instagram at LifeWellCruised. Also on Twitter and TikTok, so I'd love to connect with you there as well. Thanks so much for watching, and happy cruising and happy traveling.
You can find me on YouTube. Channel name is just my name, Joe Tolley. And you can also follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at SHIPHEAD_. Yes, SHIPHEAD was taken.
We have a website. It's called hopelessnomad.com, where we put out content right now for the podcast. And if you want to join up the community, you can just go on the website, type in your name, and you will get bi-weekly newsletters of what we are doing. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Just type in Hopeless Nomad. And our podcast, A Nomad's Way, is available on all the different podcast channels. For example, Spotify, Apple, Overcast, Google Podcast, and everywhere. So thank you so much for hanging out with me right now. And I hope you're doing well. And let's hope so that travel begins again.
You can find Cruise Radio pretty much anywhere. Type in cruiseradio.net and you'll find the website. YouTube is Cruise Radio. Twitter is Cruise Radio. Wherever you go, there's Cruise Radio. Cruiseradio.net, you can find all kinds of cruise news, cruise editorials. On the YouTube page, we do lots of things like helpful tips and ship tours. So if it's about cruising, we pretty much cover it at cruiseradio.net.
Well, I'm a little bit of a social butterfly actually, so I'm on a lot of different places online. For my main cruise content and cruise tips, the best place to go is my YouTube channel or my blog. And if you like to see a lot of the lovely pictures and photos that I've collected during my travels, then head on over to Instagram, because they're all on there. And if you prefer a little bit more cruisy chit chat, then I'm also over on Twitter. So come and say hi.
Thanks again, guys. If you're new here, we're Holly and Andrew, traveling around the world, sharing our stories with you all. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel and subscribe if you haven't already. We also run hollyandandrew.com. We've got a lot of really cool content and some travel stats and write-ups there for you. And where you can find us on Twitter, Instagram. We have a Facebook group too. All the above. We'll have the links in the show notes. Until next time, we'll see you soon.